All right, so we're going to be doing a Dagwood today. Very exciting. Myself and Aldi. A few years ago, I did this live shoot with a friend of mine, Craig, and we thought we're going to give it a go again. Alden, say hello.
Hey guys.
So welcome, Alden. Nice to have you here. So what we've got here is we've got some mushrooms. We've got little baby portabellinis. We've got some steak, which I'm going to season now. I know people say you shouldn't season your steak before the time, but I like to do that, right? On the recipe, we've also got we say a minute steak. I'm going to do a proper steak because Alden and I both need to eat something, right? So just a little bit of salt. And what that's going to do is just going to pull a bit of the moisture out of the steak. And we cook it. It also gives it a bit of extra seasoning. So we'll let that sit for a moment. We've got some flat-nosed beef, eggs, olive oil, some brandy. When you take the flame off it, we could call it halal-friendly. I'm not sure. And we'll get cracking in a moment once that's just nicely seasoned. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to take one of these pieces of bread. We're going to bang it in the toaster, which is behind me, just so we've got a crispy piece in the middle, okay? Over here, I'm just going to turn my gas on. If it decides to go on or not, we'll see. Oh, on it goes. All right, excellent. We're going to let that get nice and warm. And we're going to start quartering our mushrooms, okay? Just simply, I like mushrooms to have a bit of texture. I've already wiped them down with a cloth. And we're just going to give that a quick little cut. So when we do our mushroom sauce, we've got texture in there and cream, bit of brandy, onion. And I like to also start mine off with mushrooms first. So into the pan, I'm going to throw some butter and a little bit of olive oil. Always have a good olive oil, just enough to get that going. Once it starts sizzling, we'll throw our mushrooms in. So we're going to pop that in there. Actually, let me just take these last ones out. Just chop those in quarters quickly. And then we'll give our board a little wipe down. I love a good gadget, guys. Woo! All goes in. All right.
That is very convenient.
Very convenient, makes life a little easier. Okay, so you can see inside our pan's starting to get a bit warmer. We're also going to use some fresh thyme in here. Okay, some fresh thyme for that mushroom. And I'm also going to chop some onion. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to throw my mushrooms in first. And I'm not going to add any salt to the mushroom either because it drains the water out the mushroom. Okay, so quick little slice of an onion.
Loving that cutting technique.
Thank you. I like to use a Japanese knife. So we use these little globals. Always nice. And guys, remember, like the finer you chop the onion, the quicker it will cook. And we don't need too much onion. We're not making too much sauce. The balance of that can go back into a little bowl there. Take that off. Okay. You can hear that sizzling going. Throw some of the mushrooms in. And just get those cooking away. I know you guys don't have smell-o-vision, but it's already starting to smell quite good. Can't smell that, can you? All right. So let me tell you a little story about the Dagwood. So everyone thinks, I used to go on road trips. And where do we all stop? At the Wimpy. So my brother and I would always be like, we're going to have the Dagwood because it was the biggest thing on the menu. As you can tell, really petite. The camera puts on 10 pounds. Thanks, guys. So I did a bit of research to find out that Dagwood was not, I was disappointed to find out that the Dagwood was not done by Wimpy. Wimpy took it over, but it was an American favorite and it was from a cartoon and it's just layers of sandwich. That's all it is. So they did it with a cheeseburger with bacon. I'm using flat-nosed beef. And they did that with an egg and a little bit of lettuce, tomato. So we're going to give our own little take on it. So in our little pan, we're going to just get those mushrooms cooking. And you can see they're starting to caramelize a little bit in there. And then we're going to throw in our onion. And after our onion goes in, we're going to crush a little bit of garlic. So we can now throw that in because we need this to cook as well. All right. See how this saves the mess. Love it. Love these little boards. And then always give your board a wipe down once you've used it. All right, cool. We can throw everything that we're not using in there.
The steaks, the temperature of those.
So funny you mentioned that. I took the steak out about an hour ago to get it to room temperature, and I happened to pick the coldest day of the year. So it's still kind of like at fridge temperature. It's ridiculous. Okay, in here we're also going to throw some thyme just for some flavor. And straight after that, my garlic. Love a bit of garlic, guys. And garlic will obviously cook quicker. So I don't know if you noticed, I crushed that with my knife, and it helps it, the peeling process normally. Today, maybe not. There we go. So what we're going to do is we're just going to give that a quick little slice. All right, use what you need and put the rest back. And just under a knife, give it a quick press just to mince it down. Okay. What some people do, take our salt, just a little crack over the top because we're going to need some anyway, and we just give it another mince. And what that does is will help you grind it down so the crystals inside the salt give you a paste, as you can now see. Ta-da! All right, so in it goes. Right, and again, wipe your board, wash your knife down. I know you guys love seeing the back of me. I had a girlfriend that once said that I like to see the back of you.
Easy, Tiger.
All right, so we're going to give that. You can start seeing that it's starting to cook in here. And you just want to cook it down a little bit so your onions are cooked, your mushrooms aren't raw. And then we're going to throw some brandy on that. Alden, how's that smelling?
Oh, good.
Guys, remember, the more you take it off the heat, the less time it's going to cook. All right, so over here, we're going to start with our steak. It's nicely seasoned. In a cold pan, I know it seems really strange. We are going to put the fat down in the pan first, and we're going to let that sit. The reason we do that, we let that render. Once you render that down, you can then cook the steak in its own fat. Really delicious way of cooking it. Okay? And then in a moment, once that's reducing, what we'll do is we'll cook out our bread. But guys, I love a bit of processed cheese. Yummy. Okay, we've got some tomatoes, some fresh cream.
For viewers that don't have gas, have you
Yes.
got any tips for how to handle sort of an electric top to get the right heat going?
So I like to just as hot as I can get it is where I'm kind of going generally. I like to cook quickly, and I like to get it out of the way. So if you look inside the pot, you can see the onions have now slightly caramelized, right? And we can just scrape that all off in there. And we've got some nice color there, right? So, guys, stand back. This is going to flame. Brandy in. Flame in. Okay. Once all the alcohol is off, and like I mentioned, hopefully then it's as halal friendly as this piece of meat here. Quite funny, we had no sponsors, so we can't mention that we got it from anywhere like Woolworths or Pick and Pay or Checkers or or any butchers so we can't mention that. Some cream in there, and now we're going to just let that reduce down while our steak's cooking. Alrighty, yummy. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my flat nose beef off to the air fryer. So I feel that this crisps up best in an air fryer. My favorite place to cook it, so I've heard from a friend. Okay, then I'm going to just bang it in. And like they do on TV, they have the ones that were just done before the show started. So we got nice and crispy flat nose beef.
That looks great.
Okay, so now if you look inside the pan, you can see the fat starting to render down. And with that fat rendering down, we're going to have enough fat to cook our meat. Okay, we're going to cook our steak to medium rare because that's how I like it. Aldo, tell me, how do you like it?
Definitely on the medium rare side as well.
Yeah, and what does it remind you of? Piece of cow. I was hoping you were going to say Piece of cow.
I
I
had
love
something
it.
else in mind, but yes.
What were you thinking? Do tell.
No, definitely the piece of cow. For sure.
Okay, excellent. Okay, so a little more thyme in there because we like the thyme flavor to go with mushroom, goes really well, and the brandy. All right, once that's rendered down, we're then going to get one more pan on because why not have it full? Who says men cannot multitask? Apparently we can't get stoves on.
That was always a vicious rumor.
Was it a vicious rumor?
Yes.
Oh, not nice as rumors, eh? Okay, we got one stove coming on here. There we go. That's on. And let's see if this will light. I don't know. There we go. It's lit. There we go. So this one we're going to light and we're going to we're going to throw some butter in there. Keep it real healthy. Because I'm going to take the last two pieces of bread and we're going to sandwich them. So we still left that soft center and a crispy top. Okay. So we're going to put our butter in as soon as that melts down. I don't know if you can look in this pan now. Look how that fat is starting to crisp up. That's the way I like it.
Nice.
Okay, lovely. Right, guys, don't feel scared. You're more than welcome to send some comments through. If Aldo reads them, we're lucky. If he doesn't, sorry. We didn't answer the questions that you may be asking. If you look inside this little pot over here, it's bubbling away. So we're just going to swap these out because that's a little less, and that's hotter. You can see my steak is now beautifully rendered. We can now drop the fat side down. What we want to do is get really good caramelization on that steak now, right? Part of that, we're going to throw in the rest of the garlic, a little bit more butter, all about the flavor. Okay, we're going to throw in a little bit of rosemary and a bit more thyme. And that smells unbelievable.
It does.
Okay. So, butter the bread on the one side while it heats up. Okay. We're going to leave that to go a little bit. So we're going to leave it down there for quite some time. And then we're going to turn it over. Then we're going to start basting it. Okay. Mushroom sauce is smelling delish.
How do you know when that sauce is ready?
So you're looking for a certain viscosity. It's a big word, I know. So we wanted to be able to coat the back of our spoon so it doesn't just run off the plates. Okay. So you can see that the steak has got some beautiful color now. And now we'll use this butter just to continue basting our steak. And what it also does, it also cooks it through from the side. So always delicious. I'm sure you guys are wondering what the name of this show has to do with what I'm doing now. Truth be told, I had a friend who is no longer with us, and he came up with this really clever concept when I was about 20 years old, and I thought it was really cool. I loved the name. I thought it had a really good ring to it. So I've kind of stuck with it. Now we're just going to turn that over. We know that's buttered enough, and we're just going to carry on toasting that. The pans that I'm using today are Scan Pan, and the reason I use them is because they give them to me for free. I always thought that was a good reason to use things. Hey, nothing. I mean, you guys know when you had a pie at school, always tasted better when you didn't pay for it. Huh? True story, right?
True.
Alden, do you have any good stories to tell everybody that's watching when you were growing up about, when you had a relationship, and you were trying to impress them? Was there anything you'd like to tell us about that?
So listen, growing up, I wouldn't say I was a culinary wizard. I sort of became one in my later years.
Yeah, and then?
I was definitely more focused around the braai or the barbecue.
Oh, were you?
Yeah.
Was it barbecue and beer or just barbecue?
Definitely barbecue, but started maybe a little bit too early with the whiskey. So, but definitely more on the barbecue side.
So what you've also noticed is while I was cooking my mushroom sauce, I hadn't seasoned anything. Why didn't I season anything? So the reason I haven't seasoned anything is that generally when you put salt to mushrooms, it draws the moisture out. And that's not what we want. We want a really cool texture. So now it's at this point where it's now nice and thicker. You guys can see that in that pot. See that nice thickness that we've got there? Okay, we now add a bit of seasoning. Remember, the more you reduce your food, The saltier it will become if you add salt. So this is why we season near the end. So just a few little grinds of the salt, and we'll give it a little bit of pepper as well. Now, if you want to be fancy and you have a certain goal you want to achieve, look at that color, guys. Okay, this is almost ready to come out. You can add...
Again, how do you know when that is ready?
Oh, feels perfect.
Okay.
Yeah, so we're
That's
going
the
to...
touch test.
Touch test, yeah. We're going to take this out of the pan, and we are now going to let this rest. And I know what you're thinking. What is happening with all this delicious fat over there? Now, we could do one of two things. We could throw it away, or we just put it over there. We can let it simmer nice and softly, turn it down a little bit, and we can cook our egg in there. So we've got all this flavor that we've got here. Why not use this and have like a really dirty egg, right? Oh, that's what I call it. Like, you know, it's got all the flavor we're wanting. It's going to be delicious, right? So, blackened butter, all very hot. There we go. Look at that, eh? So, okay, that's our one side of our bread. And this is the other side. And again, always season a little bit. There we go. A little bit of pepper on top of that egg. Okay. Oh, don't want to waste that. And then because we have all this delicious fat lying on here, we can actually use it to spoon and cook our egg. Delish. Okay. Okay, nice sunny side egg. Okay. We can now turn that off. Okay, because that is nicely toasted, I can tell you now. Look at that, perfectly toasted, okay? Alden loves his toast like that. Okay, so now what we're doing is we're going to, just to build our things up a little bit better, we're going to take that out the pan. Pop it onto here, take all the little things off there. Okay. Now we've got a few things we're going to do now. All right, so egg in there. We've got a tomato. Okay, my tip to everybody, best way to cut your tomato, good old-fashioned bread knife. Okay, bread knife is going to give you really nice slices. Nice and thin. Okay.
Okay, that is a new one for me. Tomato with a bread knife. That's great.
Yep, so we've got nice thin slices of tomato. Okay, and you can see those are nice and paper thin.
Wow.
Like a really nice thin tomato slice. So you're not getting overpowered tomato flavor, okay? We've got some rocket. We're just gonna pop that with my cloth quickly, give it a wipe. Oh yeah. Give it a wipe, just pop it back for now. Eggs there. And our sauce is now perfect. All right, check it out. Perfect viscosity for our sandwich. I'm gonna turn that off, turn that off. We're gonna pop our bacon in here just to warm up. Okay, we're gonna then pop our egg. Nice and crispy, got good texture. All right.
Nice.
1, 2. We're gonna use 3 nice pieces. Guys, use good flat nose beef. Place it on there like that, right? Then we're gonna put a piece of cheese over the egg, which will then melt. Look at this processed cheese. Yummy. Okay, over the egg, just like that. Okay. We're getting to build our sandwich now. All right, let's throw that away. Alden, are you excited?
Look, I don't think you understand. Tension is building.
Third slice, crunch. Okay. At the bottom of the sandwich, we're going to start. A little bit of rocket.
Yes.
Okay, no butter required because we've got enough on here already. Okay, then we're going to throw on our slices of tomato. Always with tomato. A little bit of salt. I know what you guys are thinking. The suspense is ridiculous. What does the steak look like inside? Let's do this quick clear up over here. Okay.
Okay, let's cue that music.
Perfectly medium. beautiful slices of steak. Look at that, beautifully cooked. Okay, even cook. Okay, give Alden one more slice. Not a massive fan of the guy, but we don't dislike him. Okay, cut that. And guys, remember, fat means flavor. Okay, so look at that. Okay, we got that going so far. Let's take a piece of cotton towel, wipe down our board, so we can chop some chili for Alden, because he likes a bit of heat. Okay, he likes his
Like it hot and spicy.
hot and spicy. We just pop our steak there. We can wipe our board down. Keep it tidy, guys. And we just pop it in the bin over here. Right, there we go. So steak on. On our middle slice, we grab our lifter. Warm bacon or flat nose beef, whichever you want to call it. We pop it onto the middle slice.
Oh.
Okay, we're there. We're almost there, guys. We're almost there.
Oh my God.
Onto this top slice, we're now going to take our plate and we're going to start plating this baby up. Just pat that all away. All right, so cool. Got a lovely plate there. Cool. And now, should we be a bit cheeky? Should we be cheeky?
Go for it.
A little bit, little bit.
Definitely.
A little bit indulging.
Yeah.
A little bit of truffle oil in there. Not too much. Guys, I hate going to restaurants and tasting truffle oil is just like overpowering everything. We don't want that. Okay, so look how nice and creamy this sauce is. Oh, we're going to put it over the steak.
Oh my God.
Over the steak. Yummy, yummy. You see this textures I was talking about with the mushrooms? Okay, sauce on. We've now got our second layer. Now, our third layer. Now, do we cut this?
Definitely.
We're going to cut this. Okay.
Definitely.
Alden's not keen on giving it a go. Okay. It's going to explode.
Okay.
Okay? It's going to explode. I don't know why, but let's just do it. Oh, look at that. Oh, that looks amazing.
And work of art.
All right, guys. So we're just going to pop this on a plate for Alden. Oh, we made a bit of a mess here, but we'll sort that out later. Alden,
Yes.
I've got some bad news for you.
Yeah, let's hear it.
Bad news is I'm going to take the camera from you now.
Okay.
And I'm going to let everybody watch you smash that in your mouth. Okay? So if you want to pass me that camera, guys, this is what Alden looks like. I've got some exciting news to tell you. There he is, everybody. There he is. Alden,
Okay, I'm ready.
give us a go.
Okay, here we go.
Okay, you're going to pick it up and open that mouth. You've never heard that before? Open, and... Oh. How's that, Alden?
This
Eh?
is it settle. Mm.
Oh. All right, guys.
That's how it's done.
All right. Guys, that is how we're doing a Dagwood burger, a Dagwood on Cooking to Get Laid today. Thanks for joining us and have an amazing day. Cheers.